අරවානිවන් අවපුර තොර අකුළු ලමින් සුරකින බැවින් සිරිදලඳා සමිඳු පෙමින් පරසතු කුසුම් උඩුගුවනි විසුරුවමින් පෙරහැර පවත්වති දෙවියෝ ඔබේ නමින්
ආයුබෝවන් උත්තම කන්ද රට සිදු කරන අසිරිමත් පෙරහැර මංගල්‍යය අද දවසේදී තුන්වන රන්දෝලි පෙරහැර මංගල්‍යය 6:48ට යෙදෙන සුබ මුහුර්තයෙන් ගමන් ආරම්භ කරනවා. නිර්ත දිශාභිමුඛව අද දවසේදී මේ පෙරහැර මංගල්‍යය ගමන් ආරම්භ කරන්නට යෙදෙනවා. කැලණිය කණ්ඩුලහස්යා විසින් සදහතුක කරුණුන් වහන්සේ වැඩමීමේ කටයුත්ත ඉෂ්ට සිද්ධ කරන්නට යෙදෙනවා. ශාස්ත්‍රීයත්වය කරන කොටගෙන ශාස්ත්‍රීයත්වය පතාගෙන ඉටු කරන්නා වූ පෙරහැර මංගල්‍යයේ තුන්වන රන්දෝලි පෙරහැර මංගල්‍යයයි වේදි සරන්නට සූදානම් වන්නේ. වීදිවල සිටත් ලොව කොතනක සිටියත් සිරිලක සිදුවන්නා වූ අසිරිමත්ම පෙරහැර මංගල්‍යය සජීව ලෙස දකින්නට ඔබ කැමැති. එනිසා අප ඉතාමත්ම ගෞරවයෙන් මේ පූජෝපහාරය ඔබ netumaanයට ගෙනෙන්නට සූදානම්. අප ඔබට ආරාධනා කරනවා තුන්වන රන්දෝලි පෙරහැර සමගින් සජීව ලෙස සම්බන්ධ වන්න. கோஷிகன்
நன்றி ஜெயநாத். அனைவருக்கும் இனிய மாலை வணக்கம். இது கண்டி அசல பெரகராவினுடைய 3வது நாள் ரந்தோலி பெரகரா வீதி வலம் வந்து கொண்டிருக்கின்றது. அனைவருக்கும் இறையருள் வேண்டி இறைவனை பிரார்த்தித்துக் கொள்வதோடு இக்காட்சிகளை வீட்டில் இருந்தபடியே நேரடியாக டயலாக் தொலைக்காட்சி 119, பிஓடிவி 20 310, ஃப்ரீசெட் 2 மற்றும் தலதா மாளிகையினுடைய யூடியூப் ஃபேஸ்புக் பக்கங்களினூடாக நேரடியாக கண்டுகளிக்க முடியும். இது கண்டி அசல பெரகரா 2023. அனைவரும் வருக, இறையருள் பெருக. சமோதா, இதோ உங்களுக்கான வாய்ப்பு.
Thanks, Goshi. One of the oldest and grandest festivals across the Buddhist world is ready to commence. The third Randoli Procession is ready to take on the streets of Kandy, showering blessings of the sacred tooth relic and the gods upon all living beings. It's all set to bring this magnificence and spectacle to your home. So tune in to Pure TV channel number 20, 310, Dialogue TV channel number 119, FreeSet channel number 2, and all the social media platforms of the Sri Dalada Maligawa Media Bureau. Stay tuned.
Dalada Samindu Pihitai. We are delighted to welcome you all to the special live broadcast of the third Randoli Procession of the Kandy Esala Perahera 2023, brought to you by the Media and Special Projects Bureau of the Sri Dalada Maligawa, Kandy. You are now seeing the Perahera officials obtaining the permission and blessings of the Diyavadana Nilame, the lay custodian of the sacred tooth relic, before commencing their street perambulations. Now the Diyavadana Nilame will be making his way from the upper level, Ihalamalaya, to the lower level of the chamber known as Pathamalaya of the Vadasitina Maligaya, and he is seen ceremoniously and reverentially carrying the Perahera casket under the protection of the custodian venerating prelate of the Malvatu Mahaviharaya, Venerable Tibbatuave Medankarabhidana Thero, towards the ceremonial tusker under much veneration amidst the offering of light, sounds, scents and flowers all the way the upper chamber till it is placed on the awaiting tusker. We are now seeing the Perahera casket, which contains 32 relics of Lord Buddha being placed within the Ranhilige, mounted on the lavishly costumed tusker who will uplift the majesty of this great procession. These officials are seen offering flowers and floral garlands to the Perahera casket. And this is the third Randoli Procession of the Kandy Esala Perahera 2023, the grand festival of respect that pays homage to the sacred tooth relic to honor Lord Buddha. This is the devout moment when the royal tusker shall step majestically down from the Mahawahakada, the main entrance, onto the Sandagala, the moonstone, amidst the tune of traditional Nagasingham music in preparation to parade the streets of the Kandian city. In fact, today the royal tusker will be Kandula of Kalaniya Raja Mahavihara, and he will be accompanied by Miyan Raja and Singha Raja of Sri Dalada Maligawa.
And you are joining the live telecast of the Sri Dalada Maligawa Bureau, bringing you live the pictures of the third Randoli Perahera here from the hill capital.
Coming up in the front, now you see a troop of whip crackers who are being led by Mr. Upali Jayaratna.
With the sound of thundering, piercing through the skies are the whip crackers announcing the procession has commenced. And these whip masters are tasked with clearing the way for the sacred relic casket and the king.
Chamoda, if we look back at the history, at the ancient times, it was the king, it was the ruling king who took the parade and went down the streets in the Perahera. But today it is the Diyavadana Nilame, the lay custodian of the sacred tooth relic of Lord Buddha, who will resemble the king in the modern day Perahera.
Indeed, Prasasna. So culture is something which is taken down from generations to generations, but still it evolves.
Exactly. And the beauty of this Kandy Esala Perahera is that we are seeing some scenarios which have been come down from the ancient times until today. And it is the wonder of the cultural heritage that we still possess till this day.
Indeed, it is not an easy task to put all these segments together for 1713 years, isn't it?
Exactly. This Perahera is believed to be held in prayer for timely rainfall, and the elements of the Perahera is structured in a symbolical way that it paints the imagery of a rainfall. And rain would never be showered without the striking sound of thunder, and these whip wielders are the symbolic imagery to depict the sound of lightning and thunder to pay homage to the rain gods, requesting to bless our crops and cultivations with rain.
And in that picture, we noticed how the whip masters are untying the knots and which are formed with the whipping. And that is symbolical to the various problems that we face in the journey of life, where we too spend a careful expense of mind in untying our problems down our walks of our own journeys of life.
And if we talk about this whip these whip masters are holding, Chamoda, they are nearly 7 feet in length and is made fully out of natural materials known as niyaga and navapatta, which indicates how traditions have been preserved and the authentic methods have not changed throughout the parading history of over 1,000 years.
Indeed. We can see the moon is signaling that the polar day is ahead of us, and it's really, really close.
And following the whip masters, now we are seeing a magnificent sight of fire acrobats who are being led by Mr. E.D. Tilakaratna.
Indeed. So this whole Perahera is symbolical of the rain, and rain does not come with thunder alone. Just as lightning flashes across the skies, the procession too has its flashes of lights dancing across the faces of the people lining the streets to watch. These are the fire dancers who are offering fire, inviting the rain gods to water our lands with rain, with life-giving water to ensure a bountiful harvest for a prosperous country. The splendor of this dance is seen when a large group of them perform simultaneously, merging their various fairy elements into an amazing display of light and heat. The tradition is handed down from generation to generation, with individuals of all ages, from very young to their very old, taking part in the display of this priceless cultural heritage of their clans.
And if you look well, you can see that these fire acrobats are turning these fireballs around their heads and in before them. And this turning of fireballs is called Pandam Paliya, which paints the night with variety of patterns of light using both hands and feet, along with thrilling episodes of fire stunts.
Indeed, Pasasna, it's not an easy task to tame fire. We haven't heard that taming fire has been easier. But these acrobats are paying their precision, the attention to detail to keep the fire circling and to manage it so that no harm is caused, but it creates a huge spectacle.
Exactly. And these fire acrobats are doing this task with utmost devotion because they are paying homage to the Lord Buddha. And this duty has been coming down from their generations to generations. So because of that, they do this with pride and utmost honor.
Indeed, if you look at the dance closely, we can see this dance is performed in 3 levels, which are called the Bintala, which is the lower level, the Madatala, which is the mid level, and the Ahastala, which is the sky level. And that is definitely the highlight episode of the fireball dance that is performed standing on each other in great discipline and balance.
The sun, moon, Earth, universe, solar month, night and day are all cyclic, and the fireball dance highlight these universal cycles while depicting how they burn and cool us in our life cycles. The dancers also paint the fiery cycle of samsara that is flooded with desire, ignorance and anger that are highlighted by these chakras.
Indeed, and these dancers are being mindful of the part that fire plays in dispelling darkness, cooking, protecting crops and chainas, and they are seen taming the fire and making it an offering to the sacred tooth relic of Lord Buddha. And now coming into sight are the Buddhist flag bearers, preceded by the national flag bearer.
The sight of these Buddhist flags create a sense of tranquility among the spectators, reminding us the fact that this procession is in celebration, devotion, and an offering to the great Lord Buddha. And we should mention that these Buddhist flag bearers are being represented by the inmates of the Pallekele open prison. That is a special fact that we should mention. It is because these people are also like us, and they have been staring in this segment of Perahera for many years. They too are humans, as I said before, but they may have once diverted in life in lieu of wrongdoing that could have been a mistake of theirs or of their society. But this participation, in fact, is a part of the ordeal in releasing them back to the society as corrected humans.
The Buddhist flag is a symbol of faith and peace. The 6 colors of the flag represents the colors of the aura emanated from the body of Lord Buddha when he attained enlightenment under the sacred Bodhi tree. The horizontal stripes represents the races of the world living in harmony, while the vertical stripes represents the eternal world's peace.
If we look at these colors display in the Buddhist flag, they represent the perfection of Buddhahood and the Dhamma, which are his preachings. The symbolic identities of these colors are illustrated as blue for universal compassion, yellow for the middle path, red for blessings, white for purity and liberation, and orange for unshakable wisdom. And following the Buddhist flag bearers, we are now seeing the state flag bearers who are being represented by the inmates of the Pallekele open prison camp.
This unique collection of flags in front of us are known as provincial flags. These flags include the uniquely designed flags for the 12 states and 9 counties which were under the rule of the ancient Kandian kingdom. It was a tradition that the respective chieftain of the state, known as the Raterala, would participate in the Perahera with their respective flag that is unique to their state to showcase their loyalty towards the king.
While this tradition display reminds us of the glory and the sovereignty of ancient Senkadagala kingdom, it also represents the symbol of governance in compliance to the 10 great leadership qualities preached by Lord Buddha, known as the Dasa Raja Dharma.
The flags that are seen could be identified as the sun and moon flag of the Satharakoralaya, lion flag of the Satkoralaya, white flag of Mathalaya, silk flag of Sabaragamuwa, Berunda Pakshiya flag of Thunkoralaya, peacock flag of Uvavellassa, and the lotus flag of Udapalata, which represents the states of Sri Lanka.
Chamuda, in Kandy Esala Perahera, it is considered as a priority to symbolize the unity of Sri Lankans as a nation. So, having these inmates of Pallekele Open Prison Camp as performers, yes, we can call them performers of the Kandy Esala Perahera, can be again a piece of evidence to prove that aforementioned fact, right?
Indeed.
If you look at the history of Kandy Esala Perahera, in the ancient times, the sacred tooth relic had been considered as a private property of the king, and the public had never been permitted in having a chance of worshipping it. And it was indeed to the thankful move by King Kirti Rajasingha who declared that the relics need to be taken in procession for the public to witness and venerate and seek for blessings.
Now we are seeing the same flags we saw before being displayed in a metallic form, and these are the brass flag bearers who remind us of the proud heritage of the Kandian era.
These brass stands are metallic representations of the flags belonging to the 9 ancient states and 12 counties, using its exact same elements that are carved with great precision and attention to minute details, which certainly portray the great artistry that takes a lot of time, patience and energy.
In fact, these artists who belong to the Navandanna clan or Gurukulaya were the same ancestors who used to make beautiful gold, silver and brass ornaments with detailed engravings embedded with precious gems for the king and as offering to the sacred truth relic for the procession.
And if you look at these officials, they are dressed in a white sarong and turban with a bare upper body, which interestingly symbolizes the energetic lifestyle of our people back then in the ancient times. And they too were chosen to be represented from the ones that were practicing the traditional martial arts of Angam.
And this team today is led by Mr. Ajit Mahendra.
Chamuda, this procession is a true reflection of Buddhist worship, while it also represents a frozen image of ancient service known as Rajakarya, where people of different occupational castes perform duties to the king in return for enjoying their utility to royal and their grants.
Indeed, Basasna. In fact, we are seeing up next another group of people who represent the sword bearers, who indicate the protection given to the sacred tooth relic all throughout these ages.
Clad in white sarong and a white headdress, this army is seen carrying the raised swords, not in warfare but in a disciplined walk of calm serenity. The symbolic idea of these sword bearers is the historic protection that is provided with utmost might to the sacred tooth relic, as Chamuda mentioned in the beginning. For those who know about the history of sacred tooth relic would be patriotically proud of our history and the heroic personalities who always protected the sacred tooth relic with highest levels of bravery. And this group of sword bearers are representing the Angampura team of Sri Lanka Air Force.
From the Anuradhapura era to the Kandy era, there have been several battles over the tooth relic, and it has always been protected by the patriotic warriors, and this is a lesson that we need to teach our children. A story to be proud of, and also that if not for them, we would have lost the sacred tooth relic.
And we now see the most magnificent sight of the Perahera, which is the arrival of the very first elephant who will be carrying the Peramune Rala. And we talk about this elephant, Shamoda. This is Banda, who belongs to the Honorable Diyavadana Nilame of Sri Dalada Maligawa, Honorable Mr. Pradeep Nilangadala. And Banda has been one of the most senior elephants who take part in the Perahera. And if you look closely, you can see that Banda is currently biting his tongue, which represents an auspicious sign, it says, in the history. And it is said that elephants and tuskers in Kandy have been trained to bite their tongues in pursuit of warfare, as well as to symbolize an auspicious sight. So this Banda is proudly walking today, carrying the Peramune Rala as the first elephant of the Perahera.
Indeed, the Peramune Rala is carrying the Lekam meteor, which is encased in a long cylindrical silver casket. And up next, we are seeing the first heavy troop of the Sri Dalada Maligawa.
Sri Lanka is rich with its own genres of traditional music, and Hevisi, which is dignified as the authentic sound of Sri Lanka. The history of Hevisi takes back to the time when the sapling of the Jayashree Mahabodhi tree was brought down to Sri Lanka by Sangamitta Therani. And this evidence marks the fact that Hevisi is the oldest traditional orchestra and Buddhist sound offering in Sri Lankan heritage.
In fact, this is the first Hevisi troupe, and no Panchatura Vadana or traditional orchestra of Sinhalese music that produce sound using either drums or other musical instruments are permitted before the Hevisi as per the rule of the Kandian Perahera tradition.
Hevisi, as the most prominent orchestra of the fivefold musical instruments, too has its own variants that are authentic to various parts of the country, known as upcountry, low country, and Sabaragamuwa. The speciality of this Kandy Esala Perahera is the pure domination of upcountry traditional arts, wherefore this particular Hevisi instrumental performance belongs to the upcountry tradition of Hevisi. In the beginning, we mentioned that this whole Perahera is compared or symbolic of a rain. And if we compare this Perahera to the rain, Shamoda, the dancers or the performers can be identified as the rain drops. So it is really fascinating that this entire Perahera has a huge meaning behind that, right?
Indeed. In fact, talking about the Hevisi back again, the musicianship of Hevisi in the Kandy Esala Perahera and for the daily rituals of the Sri Dalada Maligawa are assigned to the most skilled lineages of Hevisi drummers, who are Uduvela, Ihalawela, Malagammana and Molagoda, who represented the first row of the Hevisi troupe while marching to the beat of the drums. Apart from the key lineages, we also see the presence of the Hevisi lineages in the Perahera representing Vellatota, Moradanda, Hevavissa, Kahalla and Udupihilla.
Riding on the second elephant with dignified majesty is the Gajanayaka Nilame of the Sri Dalada Maligawa. The Gajanayaka Nilame is the royal official in charge of the king's troop of elephants, and it was a position given to him directly by the king himself. To symbolize this ancient degree, the Gajanayaka Nilame, who is attired in the traditional Sinhala Mul Anduma, majestically approaches on a tusker while holding the Ankus or the Ankusaya, which is the official symbol of the Gajanayaka Nilame. And if we talk about the second tusker, he's none other than Kotte Raja, or the Raja, the tusker of Kotte, who belongs to the Venerable Alutnuwara Anuruddha Thero, the chief incumbent of Kotte Raja Mahaviharaya. Raja was gifted to Sri Lanka by Myanmar during the era of Mr. Rohita Bogalagama, the former Minister of Foreign Affairs, and he has been a routine participant in the Perahera.
And following Kotte Raja, we are seeing the water career dancers, or rather the Kottala Padaya dancers. Kothalapada is one of the most gentle dance performances of the upcountry, which traditionally is a dance of purity.
If you look at the dance, these dancers carry a pot of saffron water on one hand and an artichoke flower on the other hand, and this dance symbolizes the purifying the root in which the sacred tooth relic casket shall be carried.
The Kothalapada is in fact a ritualistic dance that is performed in the healing rituals or the Shanti Karma across the upcountry, low country and Sabaragama traditions. And here we are seeing the upcountry version of Kothalapada, which originates from the Kohomba Kankarya healing rituals as one of the 4 Hatpada or 7 dance episodes that comprises Bulatpada, Kothalapada, Malpada, Salupada, Polpada, Yahan Muttipada and Angurudumala Pada. The role of the Kothalapada dance ritual in the Kohomba Kankarya is to purify the ritual site with saffron water, where saffron is considered as a natural purifier in our native traditions, which still is believed and practiced.
And next up now we are seeing the third elephant, one of the glamorous icons of Kandy Esala Perahera, and he's carrying a Buddhist, an official who's carrying a Buddhist flag, and this elephant is the elephant Gajaba, who belongs to Mr. Ranjit Vijay Singha of Yakkala Moranwatta Devalaya. We can see how Gajaba walks in the procession with utmost majesty.
Indeed, and he's practiced to pose for the camera.
Exactly.
We are seeing a troupe of very young Chamara dancers coming into sight. The ancient poetic anthology that was written during the kingdom of Kotte, that is famously known as the Salalihini Sandeshya, quotes that white tassels in motion along with majestic elephants are one of the supreme sights of auspicious visualities. And this Chamara dance is certainly an inclusion to add more auspicious value to the Perahera.
This group of Chamara dancers are being led and trained by Mr. Nimesh Sumanaratna of Chandananda Buddhist College.
This Chamara dance performed by the artists from the Chandananda Buddhist College is a popular upcountry folk dance that is one of the most visually mesmerizing dance acts of the Perahera this evening. The Chamara is a white tassel object that was used historically as a fanning tool to the sacred tooth relic, sacred requelaries, and the prominent individuals, including the royalty.
The tassels are fanned to the rhythm of the flute and the Kandian drums, where the gentle cool breeze that is produced by this chamara brings a very pleasant feeling. This was in fact a regular feature of the royal courts in our ancient history.
The idea of including the Chamara dance ahead of the Perahera is to symbolize fanning to the impending sacred tooth relic, just like how it is performed in the actual form back then. Interestingly, you should not miss to notice how two of the same Chamara shall be clipped to the ears of the royal tusker who shall be carrying the relic casket, where the Chamara shall fan the relic casket in each time in which the tusker shall flip its ears.
Adorned in the color of blue, now we are seeing a sight of a tusker actually, and he is none other than Miyan Kumara, the tusker Miyan Kumara, who belongs to the Bellanville Rajamaha Viharaya.
On Miyan Kumara's mount, we are seeing a canopy which symbolizes the protection given to the sacred tooth relic.
Elephants are in fact chamoda, symbolic of the rainy clouds that we saw in the symbolic image of the Perahera as rain.
Indeed, it's very interesting to see how rain is being represented throughout the procession, and now coming to sight is the Malpada or the Polmal dance. The Malpada dance performance, which is also known as the Polmal, Malhatpada and Madhuporaya, is also a ritualistic dance performance that has its variants across the traditions of upcountry, low country and Sabaragamuwa. this troupe of Polmal dancers are trained and led by W.M. Dayananda.
The polmala or the coconut flower is the flower that blooms from the traditional kapruka or national tree of bounty, which denotes prosperity. In fact, the national emblem of Sri Lanka too consists the vase of coconut flowers known as the Punkalasa, that is considered as the national symbol of prosperity. This Malpade dance consists of dancers who hold this polmala, the national symbol of prosperity, with both hands while sincerely representing the same bounty and abundance in their dance.
The symbol of this dance is to pray for fertility and prosperity, which is interestingly the prime motive of the Perahera itself, where the dancers sing various ritualistic chants, which are in fact verses of prayer for prosperity.
And now we are seeing three elephants or tuskers in one side, tuskers actually. So the tusker in the middle is Pulatisi Raja, who belongs to Sri Dalada Maligawa, and the tusker and the accompanying tuskers are Sindhu and Raju. Sindhu belongs to Venerable Tippatuave Sri Siddhartha Sumangala Thero, the chief incumbent of Sri Malvatta chapter, or the Mahanayaka Thero of Malvatta chapter, and Raju in fact belongs to Venerable Varakagoda Sri Jnanaratana Thero, the Mahanayaka Thero of Askiriya chapter. So both chapters that I mentioned are from the great Shamopali Mahanikaya, which holds the administrative authority of Sri Dalada Maligawa.
And on the mounts of these tuskers we are again seeing canopies, which represents that the sacred tooth relic is well protected while it perambulates the streets of the Kandy city.
These tuskers, in fact, have been frequent participants in affairs of the king since the ancient times. So they have been participating in marking lands when the king was offering lands to the Buddha, as well as so many other things. So tuskers are not actually new to us, aren't they?
Indeed. And I think the domestic legend of elephants who are tamed to perform such a spectacle is a great asset to a country.
Exactly, and it is a beautiful symbol of our culture, I guess.
Indeed. An ancient poem translated from the book Sangarajavata recites the story of the Kandy Esala Perahera as follows. The kingdom of Senkaragala. The procession of the month of Asala, held from times ago in favor of the gods above, led by the grace of Lord Buddha, followed by the deities. The Perahera shall perambulate just like the kings did commemorate. The most revealing narration of the Esala Perahera is found in the book written by the Chinese pilgrim Fa Hian in the 5th century. The sporadic invasion by the Dravidians resulted in the shift of the kingdom from Anuradhapura to several destinations, such as Polonnaruwa, Dambadeniya, Yapahuwa, Kurunagala, Kotte, and Gampola. With the final shift of the kingdom to this great city of Kandy, the relics have remained undisturbed, and thereby the Kandy Esala Perahera has been held annually to rejoice and honor the sacred tooth relic.
And now you're seeing an aerial image of Sri Dalada Maligawa, which has been lighted up to celebrate the cultural sensation of the nation. And this special live broadcast is brought to you by the Media and Special Projects Bureau of Sri Dalada Maligawa, Kandy.
Here we see an interesting sight, the lights of Koppara. Despite the streets being lighted up with the bulbs, the traditions of lighting the streets of the city with Koppara still continues. Coming into sight is the group of Raban dancers or the tambourine dancers who are engaging in a sport-like version of the tambourine dance.
The rabana or hand tambourine is a very popular object used in the folk dancing tradition in Sri Lanka, but this is no such dance even though we see the presence of the tambourine in play. This performance, which involves spinning of the tambourine, which makes it more of a sporting performance than a dance item, and that is why this act is known as Raban Karakavima or Raban Krida in Sinhalese also. And this group of Raban performers are being trained and led by Mr. Aryapala Vijayamana.
The spinning game of Rabana can be identified as a developed performance of the Raban dance. We see several generations of artists who are of different age levels, young to senior, who have developed this intrinsic skill from childhood by learning to spin various objects, and now they have mastered the arts of spinning the rabana on the stick and then catching it after it's up high in the sky.
And we can also see how the spectators who are watching this procession in the streets are being amused by this performance.
Indeed, Pasasna. So watching the Kandy Perahera from the streets of Kandy is indeed a different experience that one should experience at least once in their lives.
Exactly.
The artists do not forget to infuse several creative twists to the play of Raban, where some artists create episodes of changing the Raban with their colleagues, while the tambourines are flying high mid in the air. And we see some artists are spinning multiple raban on specially designed stands. All of these wonderful episodes of skills are certainly expressing the talent behind the native Sri Lankans to the world that witnessed this great pageant at the 3rd Randoli Perahera today. Carrying and taming the raban with their flexible long cane sticks require great balance. And coming up next is another duo of elephants.
Yes, and these elephants are the elephant Bibila as well as the elephant Kandula Veera. And if we talk about the elephant Bibila, he belongs to Mr. Udara Galapati of Giriyulla. And if we talk about Kandula Veera, he belongs to Venerable Kanangama Narada Thero, the chief incumbent of Kaduwala Sankapitti Vihara. And this Kandula Veera, or the Veera, has been a mascot of Sri Lankan army till few years back. So he's very special walking down in this Perahera.
Coming up next is a troupe of Tammatam dancers.
The Thammattama, also known as the Pokurubera in Sinhalese and the kettle drum in English, is a vital instrument of the Hevisi ensemble that takes a predominant position in the Perahera as the main sound offering towards the impending requelaries of the sacred relic casket of worship. However, this act celebrates the Thammattam as an individual performance.
Amazing feature about this Thammatam performance is that we see both playing and dancing with the Thammattama, which is evidently why it is recognized as the Thammattam Nattuma or the Thammattam dance.
Tammattam was introduced to the Sri Dalada Perahera as a singular act by the veteran Tammattam artist A.P. Asuranatha of Ridhigama in Kurunagala, who is in fact the father of the artist Sujit Ananda, who is heading this particular ensemble of Tammattam instrumentalists.
And we are seeing two another elephants carrying Burmese flags representing the ties between Sri Lanka and Burma in an effort to protect the sacred tooth relic.
And if we talk about the elephants, one elephant is the elephant called Salia, who belongs to Mahiyangana Rajamahabihara, and the other one is the elephant Kandula Tissa, who belongs to Mahasaman Devalaya Ratnapura.
Coming into sight is a troupe of mixed folk dancers. Traditional dancing in Sri Lanka is segregated into two main types, which are the Shastriya Natum or the dance performances that are based on healing rituals, and the other being Gami Natum or folk dance performances. The dance that we see now is a remarkable fusion of not just one but 4 different folk dance performances being danced simultaneously in the same spotlight.
Here we see the dance artists presenting 4 different folk dances, which are the Thalamputta, the Likeli, Raban, and the Sabaran, which we would see being performed as individual dance items across all 5 segments of this majestic Perahera. And this dance act is certainly a snapshot of the beauty of the Sri Lankan folk culture.
Folk dance, also known as Jananatum or Gaminatum, are dance items that represent the culture of the native village lifestyles of Sri Lanka. These dance acts have no ritualistic regulations that need to be strictly adhered to in comparison to the Shastriya dance acts. In fact, there is a lot of space left for creativity in designing the choreography, costumes, tunes, and other elements of attraction. But we need to keep in mind not to harm the authenticity of the dance, as it is how it is passed down generations.
And following the mixed folk dance, we now see two elephants. One is the elephant Madhu, who belongs to Mutiyangana Rajamahabharaya, and the other elephant is none other than the elephant Vichitaraja from Dimbulagala. Following Madhu and Vijitaraja, we are now seeing the arrival of a group of Paturu dancers who are being led by Mr. Nalin Jayasekara of Sri Dalada, Maligawa. Paturu is an upcountry styled folk dance act that is known for its faster tempo that you're hearing right now, I guess, when compared to other folk dance acts that is performed in the country. The dancers hold a set of wooden splinters known as paturu on one hand, and they perform to the beat of the upcountry gataberia drum and the melodious flute while clapping the splinters on various designated parts of the body.
The Patru dance may explicitly seem as if it's a singular choreograph, but careful attention would show how this dance involves group work, where we see the performers collaborating each other as a group and in subgroups that highlights the unity and harmony among the youth of Sri Lanka. Speaking of folk dances in Sri Lanka, we are able to notice several notable characteristics such as simplicity, the group collaboration, using of props, enjoyment, and the recital of poems. In fact, the building blocks of rural folk dancing implies the social connections between the villagers, where the dancing acts do include several episodes of interaction among them.
And following the group of Paturu dancers, we are now seeing two special female elephants. So one is the elephant Panchali from Horana. Actually, they are both from Horana. So the one in the left is Panchali and the other one in the right is Deumini. So both of them are from the city of Horana, and now you can see that they're enjoying their walk down the procession, taking maybe the lead as two female elephants.
Coming into sight is a troupe of Nayandi dancers. The Nayandi dance is one of the most significant dance performances of the upcountry tradition that holds a very prominent position in the Kandy Esala Perahera, especially during the Kumbal Perahera festivities. But we are seeing the Nayandi dancing performance being performed in the third Randoli Perahera also today.
If you look at these Nayandi dancers, Chamoda, they were responsible of welcoming or the escorting the way for the sacred tooth relic during the Kumbal Perahera. But coming from Kumbal Perahera to Randoli Perahera, their task is kind of different today. They are adding colors to this Perahera as a unique Nayandi dance troupe instead of having the responsibility of escorting the sacred tooth relic.
Indeed, Pasasna. So today that responsibility of escorting the sacred tooth relic and the Devad Nilame will fall into form troupe of West dancers. But the difference between West dancers and the Nayandi dancers is just the absence of the headgear in this particular dance, where the headgear is replaced with the hairband, with a turban in the shape of a cobra.
And also this Nayandi dance is also called as Adavis, in fact. So now we're seeing two elephants once again, and these two elephants are also in fact female elephants, and one is Kanchana from Giriulla and the other one is the female elephant Rani from Kande Devalaya Velambada. So if we look at Kanchana, she's actually owned by Mr. Udara Galapati from Giriulla. So these two female elephants are also enjoying their ride as participants of the third Randoli Procession of Kandy Esala Perahera 2023.
coming into sight is a troupe of Likeli dancers. The Likeli, or the wooden stick dance, is another interesting folk dance of the upcountry tradition that consists of performers carrying two wooden sticks in their hands who shall dash them together in a rhythm, individually and even among pairs at times, and also in groups.
And this troupe of Likeli dancers are being trained and led by Mr. Nimesh Sumilaratna of Chandananda Buddhist College.
Being a folk dance itself, this dance too sets a village picture for the audience. But the origin of the exact movements performed can be guessed as the ancient practices of war battles among the folk lifestyle. As the name of the dance itself, the word Kelia translates into battle in English. We mentioned that this word Kelia means battle. And this fast tempo that is performed in several episodes of Likeli dance creates the sense of energy that truly creates this battle atmosphere. And it once again connects the folk dance with the previously felt affiliation with the war rehearsing. And following the Likeli dance troupe, now we are seeing the arrival of two other elephants, and one is again the female elephant Maligawa Sita, and the other one is Palle Rani, who belongs to Mr. Chanaka Jayasekara. Now we are seeing the authentic form of the Pantheru dance coming up front in the third Randoli Procession today.
The Pantheru is a musical instrument that is used as a rhythm tool across all three traditions of upcountry, low country and Sabaragamua. But the Pantheru dance is exclusively belonging to the Udarata or upcountry tradition of dance, as Chamoda mentioned.
Indeed, and this beautiful performance is trained and led in the Perahera today by Mr. Sarath Vijayasiri of the Upcountry Dancing Academy. This instrument is a small brass circular framed castanet with 5 cymbals fixed to it, which gives a subtle metallic sound as it shakes. It was originally used to keep the beat in the chamber of versifiers or the Kavikara Maduwa, and is considered one of the authentic tunes that are engaged with the sound offerings associated with the Dalada Puja.
or the chamber of versifiers that Chamoda mentioned about is one of the 5 types of upcountry performing arts that refer to the chanting groups of the Perahera, which we will see today walking behind the royal tusker carrying the relic casket, as they will be chanting the virtues of Buddha while maintaining the rhythm with the same pantheru. And following the Pantheru dance troupe, we now see the elephant Raja from Hettimulla as well as elephant Punchi Banda from Horana. Actually, we now hear lots of conversations about these elephants taking part in this procession, right, Chamuda? But it's not actually new. So, from the Garjana, the Tusker Garjana of King Ravana to the Tusker Kadol, who played a huge role in war of Dutugamu, they have been a significant part, a component in our day-to-day lives as well as the lives of the royalty. So it is no wonder that we still see these elephants taking part in this Perahera.
Indeed.
And following the elephants, now we see a troupe of sword performers who are being led by Mr. Hasindu Gunawardana of Upcountry Dancing Academy.
Kudunatuma or the sword dance is not at all meant to promote violence in this perahara. That is meant to reflect love, peace and care that is preached by the doctrine of Lord Buddha. This dance actually is meant to be a tribute and to illustrate the bravery of our ancient Sri Lankan warriors who risked their lives to protect Sri Lanka as a nation and also to protect the sacred tooth relic.
And if you feel the surrounding environment, Jamoda, the cooling breeze that blows from the Udavatta forest and also from the Kandy lake on the left certainly creates a feel of how nature too contributes to the perahara by displaying its unmatched unique forms of beauty to this perahara that shall bless our country. And now we see another two elephants carrying officials who are holding Burmese flags.
The fact that Burmese flags are still carried in the processions for over 1700 years prove the fact that we as a nation are very much grateful to the Burmese nation for helping us to protect this sacred tooth relic for this many years.
And once again, you are witnessing the beauty and the elegance of the ancient city of Kandy and Sri Dalada Maligawa, celebrating the glory of the third Randoli Procession of Kandy Esala Perahera 2023.
And with that, we are moving to another segment, a very vibrant segment which is called the Udakki dance. Udakkiya is the smallest drum in the drums legend in the Sri Lankan culture.
Traditional musical instruments of Sri Lanka are sometimes not just used for playing itself, just like the Udakkiya that we see here in this dance performance. We do not just see these performers playing the Udakkiya, but they also perform a dance and interestingly do sing at the same time, which makes the Udakki dance act a triple infusion of art.
The Udakkiya is an hourglass-shaped hand drum that belongs to the Arthata category of the Panchaturya Nadaya. Since it is played only using hands, the dancers are dressed in the traditional Kandian attire and dancers while playing these instruments along with the recitals that glorify the qualities of Lord Buddha.
And following the Udaki dances, now we are seeing a side of a magnificent and a special tasker who is Vasana from Sri Ruhunu Maha Kataragama Devalaya. And Vasana has been very fortunate to serve as a sacred relic casket bearer at the Kandy Esala Perahera, and he served as the casket bearer in the Randoli Procession as well.
And for the first time preceding the relic casket, we are seeing the most unique and the most recognized presentation of the Kandian dancing heritage, which is the fully adorned West Natua or the Kandian West dancer. The Kandian dancer's skill and dance form have been considered as an authentic expression of Sri Lankan culture. And this team is led today by Mr. Ishantha Helavela and Mr. Lasantha Vansekara.
In fact, it is this icon of West dancer we are seeing right now. It's the branding identity of traditional Sri Lankan dancing across the 7 seas, despite the presence of many artistic dance performances that are authentic to traditional Sri Lankan dance. It is amusing to hear that it is the same picture that is illustrated on anyone's mind when they hear the phrase Sri Lankan dance, which we could be certainly proud of.
In fact, it is the icon of West dancer who is the branding identity of traditional Sri Lankan dancing across the 7 seas, despite the presence of many artistic dance performances.
And today these West dancers are assigned with the esteemed duty of escorting the way for the sacred tooth relic casket, who is taking part in the street perambulations at the 3rd Randoli Procession of Kandy Esala Perahera 2023.
In fact, Pasasna, this is not the sacred tooth relic like the original sacred tooth relic which is carried on the streets today, or rather a casket containing 32 relics of Lord Buddha. And up next we see the Karya Karavana Korala coming into sight.
He's the royal official that holds responsibility for all engagements in regard to the offerings, the Perahera and the relic casket. And he's only seconded to the Diyavadana Nilame. He's the only person in the Perahera who has the permission to walk forwards and backwards during the Perahera. This Karya Karavana Korala gives us the message that we are reaching the climax of today's procession.
Indeed.
And as we are coming to the climax, let me tell you about the great Tuskers who are blessed today with the responsibility of carrying the sacred tooth relic casket today. So the Tusker Kandula is a ceremonial Tusker today, and he's from Kalaniya Rajamaha Viharaya. Kandula's debut as the ceremonial Tusker was during the Kumbal processions this year, and he's being accompanied by the Tusker Singha Raja and Miyan Raja of Sri Dalada Maligawa.
Let us now take a moment to feel the devotion and worship the sacred tooth relic. We can see the relic casket is been venerated with jasmine flowers, and following the relic casket we are seeing the chamber of versifiers coming into sight. This is the group of poets who walk behind the relic casket while singing the virtues of Lord Buddha. These versifiers are holding several instruments including the Pantheruwa and the Udakkiya, and the speciality of the Kavikara Maduwa or the chamber of versifiers is that these versifiers shall only perform when the relic casket is taken out of the relic chamber. We are seeing a standard carrying the sun, signaling us that these traditions will continue till the sun and moon exists.
Following the most sacred moment of this Perahera, we see the clan of devotees holding flowers and lamps that symbolize an offering to the relic casket. And this group is being led by Mr. Samantha Perera. And if you look at this youth we see on the screen, they're dressed in the most modest costume that we shall ever see in this Perahera. A plain white robe that illustrates the simplicity and modest behavior that is expected out of a true Buddhist, which is even highlighted in the most gentle walk that we see out of these devotees.
In the Sri Lankan Buddhist tradition, there are several forms of offering that Sri Lankans pledge as puja towards the Lord Buddha. And one of the prominent offerings are flowers. And together with flowers, they offer incense sticks which offer fragrance to Lord Buddha, the oil lamps which offer light, and also water. We see both flowers and lamps in the hands of the devotees, which interpret this episode of Perahera as an offering of fragrance, light towards the relic casket. next we are seeing a troupe of West dancers who have a long-standing affiliation with the Perahera. And we see the great artists, Mr. Sanjeeva Verapitiya and Mr. Peter Surasena, leading the way for the impending approach of the most honorable Devardhana Nilama.
Dancers who perform in this part of the Perahera are not just random participants, but in fact they have been performing in the Kandy Esala Perahera as lineages since the time of their great ancestors. We see the ancestral lineages of Talgahagoda, Verapitiya, Surasena, Bandara and Ihalawela, to name a few. These dancers who stand first line right in front of the icon of respect is the current heir of the particular lineage who shall be leading the dance troupe.
This West dance form is coming down from one of the healing rituals known as Kohomba Kankariya, which is performed to date in certain ritualistic instances. But here we see the dancing form of the Kohomba Kankariya.
Dance troupe is also carrying a special message that we are about to see yet another special arrival.
Indeed, Prasansa. We can see, regardless of the age, how they perform with a beautiful smile in their faces, because they are very proud to be a part of this traditional component.
I think that this is a dream of any dancer, especially in the upcountry tradition, to take part in this Kandy Esala Perahera, and on top of that to escort two of the most important arrivals could be everyone's dream, right? It's another level.
Indeed, for a dancer it's the pinnacle of achievement. We are now seeing the late custodian of the Sri Dalada Maligawa, the 19th Devardhana Nilama, Honorable Pradeep Nilanga Daya, who walks with utmost pride and majesty while bringing a true sense of ancient royalty to the Perahera.
Steward Nilame is the royal official who granted water to the kings in history and is now designated as the lay protector of the sacred tooth relic of Lord Buddha, which makes him one of the most respected lay leaders in Buddhism in Sri Lanka.
Honorable Pradeep Nilanga Dalan is a devoted Buddhist who is honored internationally for his service rendered towards Buddhism and for his outstanding leadership in preserving Sri Lanka's traditions and cultures for many years. And we are seeing the guards lining the streets to provide protection for the Honorable Devadan Nilame.
And also the Devadan Nilame is walking under the Muthukudaya or the pearl umbrella.
And we see the Vidanis of the 10 villages following the Devadan Nilame, and they are known to be the chieftains of the 10 associated villages of the Sri Dalada Maligawa. We can see they are costumed in different ways to
Represent the associated villages and their identities, I guess.
Indeed, and following that, we are seeing the commencement of the Sri Mahanatha Devala procession. And we see the initial rituals being performed at the Natha Devalaya premises.
The Sri Mahanatha Devalaya in Kandy is located right in front of the Sri Dalada Maligawa, where it is considered as the main shrine that is dedicated towards Lord Natha and one of the old buildings in Kandy that was built even before the Sri Dalada Maligawa.
We can see that the requilies of God Natha being carried out of the Devalaya by the respective officials, and we can see the officials offering garlands of flower with much veneration.
And as the commencing act of the Sri Mahanatha Esala Perahera, now we are seeing a group of Buddhist flag bearers.
In fact, it's again a reminder to us that this is a celebration in honor and veneration of Lord Buddha. And also, the procession of Natha Devalaya is the first to follow the Dalada Perahera due to the belief that God Natha is the next in line to attain Buddhahood.
And also, Chamoda, we see that a flag of Matale Disawa is leading the group of Buddhist flag bearers, representing the hometown or the place that the current Basnayaka Nilame of Sri Mahanatha Devalaya was born. If we talk about Sri Mahanatha Devalaya, the premises of Sri Mahanatha Devalaya in Kandy is recognized since as the Jaya Bhumiya, or the land with luck, since the time of our ancestors, based on the indication by an ancient Brahmin named Senkanda. According to the legend, the sage Senkanda had once visited this land and had witnessed a hare being chased by a pack of wolves. And with a flick of a moment, the hare had managed to chase the entire pack of wolves by itself, just as it entered this land. Interestingly, it was because of this same raglan that evolved the name of Sinkadagala to the city of Kandy. And following the Buddhist flag bearers, now we are seeing the arrival of the official Hevisi troupe of Sri Mahanatha Devalaya, which is being led by Mr. SYG Vijay Sena.
Just like the Hevisi troupe of Sri Dalada Maligawa Procession engages in their own routine offerings, the Hevisi troupe of the four Devala Perahera are the actual lineages who still perform in the daily, weekly, monthly and annual rituals and rites of the particular Devala.
It indicates that Hevisi is not just a part of the Sri Lanka rituals, but it is also similarly important to the offerings of the Devala shrines as the main Shabda Puja or offerings towards the respective god. Interestingly, the tunes that are played by these ensembles are the ones that are unique to the respective Devalaya.
It is fascinating to know how all of the blend of all these instruments individually contribute to the symphonic sound of the overall ensemble. When musically analyzing the instruments on its own, we see that the dowla is used to create a deep, echoing sound. The tammatama, on the other hand, creates a noise that is heard to a far distance, while the horanava creates a high-pitched wind noise. And all of these put together creates an iconic symphony that covers the heritage of Sri Lanka. And when complemented with a beautiful dance act, the splendor of this magnificent spectacle is unmatched.
Deval processions, but the speciality of this Randoli processions is that we see a Peramunerala leading the way in every procession, including the Devala procession. So now we see the Peramunerala of Sri Mahanatha Devala Perahera riding on the elephant Rohana, who belongs to Mr. Varuna Kannangara.
And this act, which is a Savarang, is more or less synonymous to the Chamara we saw in the Dalada Perahera. Dance item which involves these tussles are quite often used in the Perahera, but this is not the usual Chamara dance we witnessed previously. This dance, which is recognized as the Savarang, is similar to the dance of Chamara but with a difference in the prop used. In the Savarama, or the main tool used by these dancers, consists of not one but two tassels attached to the both ends, which makes it a longer version of the Chamara instrument.
And the Savarangs here symbolize the fanning to cool the impending icon of worship, which is the requelaries of God Natha. And now we are seeing the Gajanayaka Nilame carrying an Ankusaya leading the way of the Sri Mahanatha Devala Perahera. And this elephant you're seeing right now is the Chula elephant, who belongs to Mr. Chanaka Jayasekara, and he's from Palmadulla Rajamaha Viharaya.
Coming into sight is a troupe of Udaki dancers, and we see a very young dancer in the forefront of the dancing troupe. And this dancing troupe is trained and led today by Mr. Dhammika Bandara Tennakon.
Tradition of music introduces 64 different types of drums, and the udak here, what we see now, is considered as the smallest traditional drum that we find in Sri Lanka. It is in fact used as a musical instrument in healing rituals. And now we are seeing the next elephant, who is Sakura, or famously known as Sudu Mahathya, who belongs to the Colombo Fort magistrate, Mr. Tirina Gamage. And he's known as to be very playful and very friendly to people.
Indeed, and following Sudu Mahathya, we see another troupe of Likali dancers. We have seen that the Likali dance had been a constant throughout the Dalada Perahera and here in the Natha Devala Perahera also. This troupe is led today by Mr. Upali Dharmaratna from the Shashikala Arts Academy.
The Natha Devalaya is believed to be built as an offering towards god Natha by King Vikramabahu III. And mentioning that, now we are seeing another elephant carrying an official who's holding a Buddhist flag, and this elephant is none other than the elephant Kandula, who belongs to Mr. Roshan Pathirana of Maharagama.
Coming up next is a troupe of Raban dancers. Earlier we saw the Raban Krida or Raban Karakavima, which was more of a sport-like version of this. But now we are seeing the Raban dance. The tambourines are used for the sole purpose of a dance. The Raban is at times recognized as the drum of prosperity, belonging to the Artha classification of traditional musical instruments. Both the Rabana and Bunmadiya, which are drums played only using bare hands, are used in the agricultural activities of Sri Lanka.
And following the dance troupe, we are now seeing the elephant Sumana, who belongs to Venerable Boralande Jnanasara Thero.
Coming into sight is a Tammattam troupe, trained and led by Mr. Jagat from Ridigama. The amazing feature about this Tammattam performance is that we see both playing and dancing with the Tammattama, which is evidently why this performance is called as the Tammattam dance. And coming up front, we see an elephant.
And this elephant is none other than the female elephant Kuweni, who belongs to Mr. Mahinda Milangoda. And Kuweni is carrying an official who is holding a Buddhist flag.
You are joining with the live telecast brought to you by the Special Projects Media Bureau of Sri Dalada Maligawa.
And now we are seeing an amazing performance of Nayandi, dancers, which has been trained and led by Mr. W.G. Indika Pradeep Valikumbura.
The speciality of Nayandi dancing is that this dance is primarily performed by primitive Kandian dance artists who have not yet attained reverentially as a West dancer. And any dance artist who aspires to be crowned as a Kandian West dancer would first need to master the skill of Nayandi in order to proceed.
Following the Nayandi dances, let us welcome the sight of this special elephant Sama, who belongs to Venerable Uduwe Dhammaloka Thero, who is the chief incumbent of Alan Mathiriyarama Temple. And following Sama, we are now seeing a group of West dancers who are being led by Mr. Visuddhi Srinath Verapitiya.
Tracing back to the history of this particular dance, it was in the 4th century BC when the first ever Hattapas Mangalya was performed in Sri Lanka by the Malay king to cure a dividos, or a godly curse that had been bestowed upon the king Panduwasadeva, who is in fact a descendant of King Vijaya, the Indian prince who discovered the land of Sri Lanka and named it as Tambapanni. The story of King Vijaya and his tribal wife Kueni is in fact the birth story of the royal tradition of the Kandian dancing, which is quite interesting to learn.
And today these West dancers are making the way for the arrival of the ceremonial tasker who will be carrying the rituaries of God Nath.
The West dance is more than just a ritual. It is a sacred recitation of protection against misfortune. And we are seeing the chief trustee of the Sri Mahanatha Devalaya walking up front, signaling us that the climax of the Sri Mahanatha Esala Perahera is about to be witnessed.
And the ceremony ceremonial tusker who we are seeing right now is the elephant Bandara, who belongs to Mr. Tilakaratna, and the Dala elephants are the elephant Arjuna of Vaurukannara Mahaviharaya, as well as the elephant Kandula, who belongs to the Venerable Devalegama Dhammasena Thero of Tissa Maharama.
And following that, we see the complementing West dancers who are dancing, announcing the impending approach of the Basnayaka Nilame of the Sri Mahanatha Devalaya.
In fact, Shamoda, today, representing the Basnayaka Nilame of Sri Mahanatha Devalaya, we will be seeing 3 Basnayaka Nilames of rural shrines which are affiliated with Sri Mahanatha Devalaya, Kandy, and it is known to be the tradition of Randoli Procession series.
Indeed.
This group of West dancers are being trained and led by Mr. Asanka Karunaratna. If you look at the legend of God Natha, it takes us down through many cults in Buddhism, including the Mahayana and Theravada traditions, which he predominantly associated as the future Buddha. In Sri Lankan history, there are recorded evidence that mentions of God Natha in Sandesha of Tisara Ira Koul, where God Natha was one of the prime deities who were seeked by the ancient kings of Sri Lanka. Being escorted in the way, we now see the arrival of the Basnayaka Nilames of 3 affiliated shrines. Honorable Basnayaka Nilame, Mr. Bhashana Uddeepa Bandara Kulatunga of Alawatugoda Sumana Samandevalaya, Mr. Akalanka Bandara, the Honorable Basnayaka Nilame of Dodangwala Srinatha Devalaya, as well as Mr. Asanka Ranavana, Honorable Basnayaka Nilame of Ganegoda Sri Kataragama Devalaya, are gracing today's procession representing the Basnayaka Nilame of Sri Mahanatha Devalaya, Kandy.
And we see the taking majestic strides, lined by 2 lines of guards on either side. As that marks the end of the Sri Mahanatha Devala procession, we are seeing the commencement of the Sri Mahavishnu Devala procession, and we see the initial rituals being carried out within the Vishnu Devala premises. The Sri Mahavishnu Devalaya in Kandy, that is prominently identified as the Mahadevalaya or the Great Shrine, is the main shrine in the hill capital that is dedicated to Lord Vishnu among the Satara Mahadevalaya in Kandy. This Devalaya is located northeast to the Dalada Maligawa, which is accessed easily via the Rajavidya and is considered as the most prominent religious site in Kandy, that is only second to Sri Dalada Maligawa. And first up in the Sri Vishnu Devala procession, we are seeing the provincial flag bearers lined with the sun and moon standard bearers.
And these flag bearers are representing the Civil Security Department of Pallekele. God Vishnu, in fact, is known as the guardian of Sri Lanka. So to represent that, we are now seeing the flags of all the states of this country which are being guarded by God Vishnu and his divine eye. And now we are seeing the first elephant, who is Taraka, who belongs to Mr. Kularatna Vijayatunga of Sri Rankadu Pathini Devalaya, Kaduwala. Following Taraka, now we are seeing the entrance of the official Hevisi troop of Sri Mahavishnu Devalaya. Different sources of history have pronounced the god Vishnu and the Devalaya by different names, where the one such evidence noted by the English prisoner Robert Knox had called the deity in this Devalaya as Alutnuwara Deviyo, who had been brought to Alutnuwara in Kegol from Devinuwara in Mathura, while another legend identifies this god as Upulwan Deviyo, which translates to the blue color god.
The Hevisi troop of Sri Mahavishnu Devalaya is notably special among all of the other Hevisi troops that we see throughout this procession based on several importances. As we know, the inaugural ritual of Esala Perahera is the cup situema, or the planting of the jack in the auspicious hour. And this piece of jack plant is been cut from the village of Alutnuwara, that is located at the footsteps of Kadugannawa, which marks the entrance to the district of Kandy. And it is also known as Alutnuwara Sri Dadibunnu Devalaya, that is the main shrine in Sri Lanka that is dedicated to Lord Dadimunda. We see the Gajanayaka Nilame of the Vishnu Devalaya coming into sight.
And the previous official on the elephant was Peramunirala, and this one is Gajanayaka Nilame. And the elephant who's carrying the Gajanayaka Nilame of Sri Mahavishnu Devalaya is the elephant Muthu of Muthiyangana Rajamaha Viharaya.
Following Muthu, we are seeing a troupe of Savarang dancers trained and led by Mr. Ruwan Talgagoda. And they are from the Nityatal Gurukula Arts Academy.
In fact, these tassels are not artificial crafts. They're known to be the tail hair of the Semara deer who lives in the tip of the Himalayan mountains, which is used as the fanning tool of royalty since the very ancient times. It is believed that there is no cooling breeze than the air fanned by Semara tail, and this is why the fanning using these tassels are sometimes known as Semara Salima.
Indeed, it is because of this special feature that these tail hairs are being used in both Chamara and Savarang to honor the relic casket and the requilleries of the goods. An interesting fact about this particular dancing troupe is that they are hailing from the dancing lineages of Nittavela and Talgagoda.
And following the Savarang dance troupe, we are now seeing the arrival of the elephant Damunupola Banda, who belongs to Mr. A.S. Samarakon of Damunupola.
We see a troupe of Nayandi dancers coming into sight, and these Nayandi dancers are trained and led by M.J. Nittavela from the Nittavela Mulguru Arts Academy. And they are hailing from the most famous lineage of the Nittavela Guru Nanse, who has been an icon of the Sri Lankan dance, who took the Sri Lankan arts into an international level. The Nayandi dance is said to be belonging to the classification of Rupanatum due to its visual richness in attraction, and this dance is also known as Adaves, meaning half of the West costume, and at times even known as Tanikachia, which relates to a special head turban that is worn by the Nayandi dancers.
Following the Nayandu dances, now you are before the site of Muthu, is also known as Mutunkot Athina, and she belongs to Mr. Indika Mutunkot of Manikhina.
Following Muthu, we are seeing another troupe of legally dancers coming into sight, draped in the iconic color of Lord Vishnu, the blue color.
In fact, this troupe of legally dancers are trained and led by Mr. Neil Chaminda of NC Arts Academy that belongs to the ancient lineages of dance. And now we are seeing two young elephants walking down the procession, and they are none other than Mihin Raja and Abe Raja, and they belong to Mr. Neville Vanniyarachi.
And these two tuskers are a promising addition for the future legend of the domestic elephants. And following those young duo of tuskers, we see another Pantheru dance adding color to the Vishnu Devada procession.
Among the many legends behind the evolution of the Pantheruva, one such story describes how the Pantheruva is in fact the Chakrayuda or Sudarshana Chakra of Lord Vishnu. Following the Pantheru dance, we are now seeing the entrance of the elephant Charika, who belongs to Mr. Tusita Ranavaka, as well as the elephant Sanju, who belongs to Mr. Jagat Vitana Pinnaduwa, who is a former member of Western Province Provincial Council.
Now we see a dancing troupe of Udaki dancers coming up next in the Sri Mahavishnu Devalaya procession. The Udaki dance has also been a constant throughout the segments we have seen so far. The Udakya is an hourglass-shaped hand drum which belongs to the Athatha category of the Panchaturya Nada. And following that, we are seeing a trio of elephant, which is a usual sight in the Vishnu Devala procession.
And these three elephants are quite special, Shamoda, because they are all from the elephant orphanage of Pinnavala, and one elephant is Gagana and Gamunu Kandula in the middle, and the other one is Pillumage Alia, and they are all from the Pinnavala Elephant Orphanage. And following the trio of elephants, we are now seeing the first West dance troupe of Sri Mahavishnu Devala Perahera, which is being led by Mr. Sarath Ekanayaka of Saraswati Arts Academy that belongs to Mamulavala lineage.
Throughout the segments of this procession, we could see that the West dancers always precedes the climaxes of the processions.
Godly ornaments of Sri Mahavishnu Devalaya, And following that, we are now seeing we are now seeing the elephant Suranimala, who belongs to the Vishnu Devalaya of Alut Nuwara. Accompanying Suranimala, we now see the Biyagama Rani, who belongs to the native physician Dr. Deepthi Kumara, as well as the Alapatha Athena, who belongs to Mrs. Krishani Alapatha of Alapatha Valawa. Let us take a moment to worship and feel the devotion towards the equalaries of God Vishnu.
Now we see the second set of West dancers in the Sri Mahavishnu Devala procession, leading the way to the impending approach of the Basnayaka Nilame of the Sri Mahavishnu Devalaya, who will be represented by a Basnayaka Nilame of a rural shrine today according to the traditions of the third Randoli Perahera. The West dancing was considered as a part of royalty itself, where it was formally associated with the kings since ancient times. When going down history, the West dance was performed in the time of Anuradhapura kingdom, and this had been rebranded as the Kandian dance. Only after the royal has shifted from the to the Kandian kingdom. The costume that is worn by the West dancers are very unique, as it is believed to be half of the exact same costume that was the regalia of the Malay king. The colors of white and red take prominence as the only shades present in the West costume that is different to the multicolored costumes that we see in our low country traditions of dance. It is interesting to hear that this costume consists of 64 different pieces of accessories that include the Pain Pata, Nettimalaya, Todupat, Karapatiya, Aulharaya, Devrumalaya, Bugulupatiya, Silambu, Ulludaya, Bandivalalu, and Hangala, to name a few.
This West dance troupe, in fact, is being led and trained by Mr. Kondadeniya Samansiri of Samannath's Academy of Kondadeniya lineage. And now we are seeing the arrival of the Basnayaka Nilame, Honorable Mr. Priyantha Amunugama, the Basnayaka Nilame of Lanka Sri Vishnu Devalaya, who is today representing the Basnayaka Nilame of Sri Mahanatha Devalaya at the third Randoli Procession of Kandy Esala Perahera 2023.
We see an arrangement of royalty given to this representation of the Basnayaka Nilame, lined with two lines of guards, and followed by the Vidanas.
as it marks the end of Sri Mahavishnu Esala Perahera. Now let us witness the commencement of Sri Mahakataragama Esala Perahera. Now you are witnessing the auspicious moment of the godly requirements of God Kataragama being carried out from the shrine to take part in the street perambulations.
Lord Kataragama, or the god of war, is a divine deity who is worshipped as Kanda Kumara, Kartikeya or Murugan in South Indian tradition, and as Kanda Surindun, Kadira or Kataragama Deviyo in Sri Lankan cult. Up front in the Sri Mahakataragama Devalaya, we are seeing a group of Buddhist flag bearers, and they are representing the Civil Defence Force.
It is believed that Lord Kataragama is the younger son of Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati, and he is considered as an important deity in the Indian subcontinent since ancient times, worshipped as Mahasena and Kumara in North India, and is predominantly worshipped in the state of Tamil Nadu and other parts of South India, Sri Lanka, Singapore, Malaysia and Mauritius.
And in the procession of Sri Mahakataragama Devalaya, following the Buddhist flag bearers, we see the provincial flag bearers or the cloth flag bearers coming into sight. And now we are seeing the official heavy troop of the Kataragama Devalaya.
The heavy troop of the Sri Mahakataragama Devalaya tomb is quite notable when compared to the other troops of Hevisi due to the difference in its tune and tempo. The style of Hevisi not just depends on the regional or situational variances but also varies among the several lineages that perform this traditional duty. This Hevisi troop that leads the procession of the Sri Mahakataragama Devalaya, that is hailing from the lineage of P.V. James Guru Nath, is distinguished for its faster tempo that is similarly unique to the customs of the rituals affiliated towards Lord Kataragama, and also by carrying a large windpipe known as the kumbul, which we did not witness in other parts of the procession.
Indeed, even though we witnessed the Hevisi in all segments of the Perahera, each of them are unique to each other. If we pay attention to these minute nuances we see in the Perahera, we can clearly see the vibrancy in the great history that we have.
Exactly, so it depicts that each Devalaya or the shrine showcases its unique identity through the performing arts, as well as even the colors and other equipments that they are using in this procession, and that is very special and something fascinating to be noticed.
Indeed, the Perahera performs across many streets that occupy the Kandy town once it steps down the Dalada Vidya and once it passes down from the esplanade known as the Mahamaluva. And an interesting fact it is that the symphony played by the Hevisi troupe shall change once they turn into a new street or vidya. And the same Valinadya series of steps are performed as the transition movement in between the changing tunes.
And this heavy troop today, in fact, is being led by Mr. Shanika Ruwan Patirana of Badulla Halpe Fine Arts Academy.
Looking at the authentic Sri Lankan drums shall never fail to remind us of the Laksha industry of Sri Lanka that relates to one of the oldest handcrafting techniques that is believed to date back to the same history of Hevisi itself, where it is believed that the first Laksha artisans arrived in the shores of Sri Lanka with the Duminda Gamanaya or the arrival of the Jaya Sri Mahabodhi.
Yes. Following the Havisi troop, we are now seeing the arrival of the majestic elephant Sankaraja, who belongs to Venerable Kosalathero, the chief incumbent of Sankapahala Viharaya.
We are seeing a troupe of Savaran dancers lighting up the streets of Kandy today in this third Randoli Perahera. And this Savaran symbolizes the same symbol it has been symbolizing so far, that it is fanning the requelaries of the god Kataragama.
And if we look at the Sri Mahakataragama Devala Perahera, we can see the color of crimson bright red, which indicates the identity of Lord Kataragama, who is the god of war, who symbolizes the victory of war. And now we are seeing the Gajanayaka Nilame of Sri Mahakataragama Devala Perahera. The elephant who is carrying the Gajanayaka Nilame is none other than the elephant Podi Raju, who belongs to Mr. Kirti Shri Deshamana Chamila Bandara Nayaka.
And following Podiraju, we are seeing a troupe of Udakki dancers. The Udakkiya, which is a hourglass-shaped small drum played by one hand and held by one hand, is a very unique instrument, because while they are dancing, singing, they have to make sure that the savaram or the tussle in the middle maintains the tune of the Udakkiya.
And next up, we are seeing the arrival of another elephant, who is the name of Chuti Manike, and she belongs to Mr. Bharata Amaratunga of Meegoda. In fact, Shamuda, we are seeing more elephants in these Randoli processions compared to the Kumbal procession. And it again indicates the meaning of this word Randoli.
Indeed, that is to add more color and glamour than the Kumbal procession. So we can see the transition from white to vibrant colors when it comes to the Randoli Perahera from the Kumbal Perahera.
And now we are seeing a group of Pantheru dance performers who are being led by Mr. Nimesh Nivantaka of Nimesh Dance Academy.
An interesting fact about all the Pantheru dancers we have seen so far is that this traditional costume of a Pantheru dancer can be only found in the Kandy Esala Perahera.
And following the Pantheru dances, we are now seeing the second Rani we saw today and we'll be seeing today, and she is none other than Godagama Rani, who belongs to Mr. Nalaka Jayasekara.
And we can see Godagama Rani draped in a red attire which contains the peacock, which is believed to be the mount of good Katargama. And now we are seeing a component which we didn't see so far in the Perahera, which is a Wevel dance.
And I believe that it is a refreshing sight to all the spectators now who are watching this Perahera right now, because as you mentioned, this is something that we didn't get to see before in this procession.
Indeed, just like it's a refreshing sight, it's also a pleasant surprise for the onlookers, because it's a very fine art that they are exercising today in this Wevel dance. They take turns to go in circles to create a knot with this Wevel, and then they untie the knot also through the dance. And now we are moving on to a very unique dance performance, specially limited to the Sri Maha Kataragama Devala procession, which is the peacock dance.
The vibrance of this procession is multiplied by many with the peacock dance coming into the picture. Sri Lankans identify the peacock as a unique creation of nature due to its distinct features of physical appearance. But the speciality of the peacock in this dance performance is beyond its attraction, as this dance depicts the beauty of the peacock as the godly vehicle of Lord Kataragama.
And the other interesting fact is this prop, which is used as the tail of the peacock, is covered in the actual feathers of the peacocks, which adds an added glamour to this event today.
And it is very admirable that these dancers and these traditions pay a special attention to the littlest details of the dance and the costume, as well as the equipments that they use.
Indeed, that of course shows the commitment and the amount of pride they contain in their hearts to be a part of this lifelong, age-old tradition.
Amongst all, they are paying homage to the Lord Kataragama as well as the Lord Buddha when it comes to the Kandy Esala Perahera.
Indeed. In fact, this team of young peacock dancers are trained and led by Mr. Mahesh Veerasekara of the Tarindu Arts Academy and Deshan Nipun of the Kamburupitiya Nipun Arts Academy. Much different to the dance performances that we witnessed before, the procession of Sri Maha Kataragama Devalaya brings us a complete change of flavor of music that we did not hear in any Gatabere drums, but we hear the westernized fusion of Indian music known as Nagasalam, Molam and Papari music, which is the authentic tune that is used to perform the modern choreographed creative dance acts such as this peacock dance.
Following the peacock dance, we are now seeing the entrance of a Kavadi dance troupe, which is being led by Mr. Indika Prasad of Indika Dance Academy.
Among the many different offerings that are made towards Lord Kataragama, Kavadi dancing is renowned as one of the most prominent dances of devotion that is performed to impress the likings of God Kataragama. Kavadi is in fact a Tamil word that translates to burden in English. And this dance ritual originates from South India by the name Kavadi Attam or burden dance.
In fact, devotees believe that Lord Kataragama is impressed by energy, and Kavadi dancing is one of its key interpretations, where these performers hold the hillocks known as Kavadi or physical burden, a semicircle shaped wooden prop with peacock feathers attached to it, on their shoulders, and dance to the fast tempo music in full energy, while at times most authentic form of Kavadi is performed without a single practice of choreography.
And following those Kavadi dancers, we see a line of Kohamba Kalaya dancers. And again we see another troupe of Kavadi dancers.
And these dance items seem to be in more freedom, I guess, if I'm allowed to say that, because the choreography looks much more in freedom, I guess.
Indeed, the choreography is very well fast paced and they have the liberty to dance as they wish.
And this is yet again the unique identity of Sri Maha Kataragama Devalaya Perahera, I guess.
Indeed, God Kataragama is not only venerated by Buddhists, he is also venerated by Hindus. So I think this tint of South Indian culture tells us that both cultures share the belief of God Kataragama.
And this collaboration of Buddhist and Hindu culture again symbolizes the meaning of Perahera as a whole, which is the unity of an entire nation.
The religious city of Kataragama, which is far from the city of Kandy, shall never experience an hour that does not tune this music, as most of the pilgrims who flock to the city of Kataragama consider performing carved dance around the sacred site as a part of their venerated offerings, as well as thanking to their wishes that are granted by the Divine Lord. In fact, these offerings does not know any barriers of age, gender, race, religion or socio-economic class, as Lord Kataragama is undoubtedly venerated by all people alike regardless of any differentiations.
And following the Kavadi dances, we are now seeing the arrival of the elephant Sudumanika, who belongs to Mr. Buddhika Miriyalla.
Following Sudumanika, the very young elephant, we are seeing a very young dancer coming into sight. In fact, a very young West dancer coming into sight.
And the first West dance troupe of Sri Maha Kataragama Esala Perahera is being trained and led by Mr. Kayashan Malagamana of Malagamana Arts Academy.
Someone who has been watching the Perahera so far should know the order in which it happens. So now this troupe of West dancers is a definite signal that the climax of the day at the Sri Maha Kataragama Esala Procession is arriving, and that is the carrying of the godly requelaries of God Kataragama.
A special fact here, Chamuda. Unlike the other four Devala shrines, the chief priest or the ayar, the Sri Maha Kataragama Devalaya in Kandy is not of Sinhalese origin, but he is in fact an Indian national who is of traditional Brahminic lineage and is delegated to perform this venerative task since many generations. And his father was the one who performed this duty before him. And this ayar is none other than Somaskantan Ayar. And when it comes to the tuskers who are carrying this, the requelaries of God Kataragama, the ceremonial tusker is the ceremonial elephant actually is the elephant Hadala of Hadala Purana Raja Mahavihara, and he belongs to Venerable Higgoda Chandima Thero, and who are accompanying Hadala are Gamunu, who belongs to Mr. R. Arangala of Veyangoda, and Esala, who belongs to Venerable Katugastuta Salda Thero. Let us take a moment to feel the devotion and worship the godly ornaments of Lord Kataragama.
And now we are seeing the second troop of West dancers following the requelaries of God Kataragama, walking down the streets of the hill capital, signaling the impending approach of the Basnayaka Nilame of the Sri Maha Kataragama Devalaya. And today, representing the Basnayaka Nilame of the Sri Maha Kataragama Devalaya, a Basnayaka Nilame of a rural shrine will take on the streets. Just like other gods, Lord Kataragama too has a weapon unique to himself known as the Velayudha, along with the other symbols such as the peacock and the color of red. We could see the symbol of Velayudha being used in many parts of this procession.
As the second West troop welcomes the arrival of the Basnayaka Nilame, that is representing the Kataragama Devalaya of Kandy. And this Basnayaka Nilame is none other than the Honorable Srimat Valivita, the Basnayaka Nilame of Wallahagoda Kataragama Devalaya, today representing the Basnayaka Nilame of Sri Maha Kataragama Devalaya Kandy as a Basnayaka Nilame of an affiliated rural shrine.
As that marks the end of the Sri Maha Kataragama Devalaya procession, we are moving on to the Sri Maha Patni Devalaya procession. Goddess Patini is marking the only female representation in the whole procession today. And we can see the initial rituals being performed inside the premises of Goddess Patini. Up front, as the first event in the Sri Maha Patini Devalaya procession, we are seeing the Buddhist flag bearers. And these flag bearers represent the Civil Defence Force of Sri Lanka.
The Sri Mahapattini Devalaya in Kandy is the only shrine of the Kandian Satara Mahadevalaya that is dedicated to the virtuous goddess Pattini, who is also the only female representation among the guardian deities of the sacred tooth relic. And following the Buddhist flag bearers, now we are witnessing the arrival of the official Hevisi troop of Sri Mahapattini Devalaya, and it is being represented by the officials led by Mr. M.G. Palithanishankar, Mr. M.G. Sirisena, as well as Mr. M.G. Premadasa.
The prominent drums used in Hevisi have its own distinct characteristics. The Daula, which belongs to the classification of Vitatadata among the Panchaturanaga, is played using both bare hands and a stick, which is known as the Kadippu. It is a 15 inches long length with a circumference of 45 inches and is in fact the main drum that is used for dance and traditional rituals of the Sabaragamuwa culture in Sri Lanka, which is authentic to the cities of Ratnapura, Kuruvita, Balangoda, even though it resembles a prominent place in the upcountry Hevisi ensemble today. Moving on to another type of drums used in the Hevisi, the Thammattama or the Pokuruberea, which is known as the kettle drum in English, belongs to the Vitata classification of the Panchaturya Nadaya, and it is played using two cane sticks. It is in fact a drum set that consists of two drums known as Mandama and the Handabandaya, which produces two distinct sounds, where the Mandam produces a sound of low pitch and the Handabandaya, in contrast, produces a very high pitched sound which complements each other as a part of this remarkable symphony.
If we look at the history of Sri Mahapattini Devalaya, it is believed that this Devalaya is at least 4 centuries old, as there are written evidence of a Perahera that had been held during the reign of King Rajasingha II. According to folklore, the statue of goddess Pattini at this Devalaya was brought from the Maligawa Pattini Devalaya during the time of King Vimaladharma Surya I. Even today, the statues at Maligawa Devalaya and the Kandy look similar, and this evidence suggests that the Sri Mahapattini Devalaya in Kandy goes back to 16th century in history.
Talking about statues of goddess Pattini Basasna, if one closely observes, we can see a very small statue of goddess Pattini being attached to the requeries which will be carried in the procession today. Goddess Pattini is known for her chastity that she practiced during her lifetime, and most of the mothers of Sri Lanka seek for the blessings of Goddess Pattini to protect their children from unforeseen threats.
And now we see Peramunirala of Sri Mahapattini Devalaya. Oh no, it's the Gajanayakadilame of Sri Mahapattini Devalaya entering the scene, and the Gajanayakadilame is being carried by the elephant Isuru, who belongs to Venerable Urulavatte Dhammarakkita Thero, who is the chief incumbent of Mahiyangana Rajamaha Viharaya.
Coming into sight is the first female dance performance that we see today. Just like Goddess Pattini is the only female representation in the whole procession, in this procession only we see the female dancers taking part.
And this dance act, in fact, is a female Nayandi dance, and this dance troupe is trained and led by Mrs. Lakshmi Kumari of Ketumati Arts Academy, Nurutalawa. One may wonder if the elegant presentations of Kandian dancing is only biased towards the males, as we notice in the dances of West and Nayandi. This thought is certainly proved wrong with this dance act, which is in fact the same Nayandi dance we saw before, but this time a female representation that is choreographed in a way which suits the feminine or lascive atmosphere that is expected out of a female performer.
Indeed, although the lascive or the feminine tint hints us that they need to be more feminine, they do not pay heed to their gentle souls when they are taking the streets today.
Yes, indeed. And now we are seeing the arrival of Manike elephant, who belongs to Mr. Anurak Kempitiya of Kiulpani. And following Manike, we are now seeing a female Savarang dance troupe who are being trained and led by Mrs. Ajanta Kandegidara of Sarasavi Arts Academy, Molagoda.
These female dancers reminds us of the days in yore when the females used to fan the royalty. And here the implication is such that these female dancers are dancing very nicely and vibrantly to fan the requillaries of Goddess Pattini.
Performers are playing the drums and the instruments as well, and that is also very special. And following them, now we are seeing the elephant Maharagama Sita, who belongs to Mr. S.M. Roshan Samarakkodi of Maharagama, and she's carrying an official who's holding a canopy, which again symbolizes the protection.
Now we are seeing a troupe of Patru dancers or other splinter dances. The prop which is used in this dance is very simple, but the choreography makes it a very elegant performance. And this team is trained and led by Mr. Nishantha Sanjeeva of the Navaranga Arts Academy, Galnava.
And if you listen well, Chamoda, you will hear the mesmerized cheers of the spectators who have been gathered around the procession.
Indeed, Pasasna.
And following the Paturu dance, we are now seeing the arrival of the elephant Tharindu, who belongs to Venerable Kobavaka Damminna Thero.
And following the elephant Tharindu, we are seeing a troupe of upcountry traditional female dancers trained by Miss Nadika Asuranatha of the Dandiyagama Arts Academy. These dancers are synonymous to the West dancers. The male West dancers wear the headgear as their ultimate attainment, and the female West dancers wear the Pain Patha, which is their headgear when they attain that experience in their dance.
And following them, now we are seeing the arrival of the elephant Raja, who belongs to Mr. Vijay Nilmini of Balangoda. And now we are seeing the arrival of a Panteru, female Panteru dance troupe, which is being trained and led by Miss Vindya Kulasiri of Jayashani Udarata Arts Academy of Gorakadeniya.
Indeed, and also this Pantheruwa in this particular Perahera, which is the Sri Maha Pattini Devala Perahera, has a special resemblance to the Ginisalamba or the anklet of Goddess Pattini. It is believed that this dance performance is derived, the prop of this dance performance is derived through the Ginisalamba of Goddess Pattini.
Performers are not just seen dancing but also chanting several verses which are distinguished as Pantheru Kavi or poetry associated with the Pantheru dance. One such prominent verse named Sitlesalowa describes all affiliations to the Pantheru, including its resemblance as a chakra and the anklet of goddess Pantini as mentioned. Therefore, Pantheru is certainly a performance that is infused with dancing, singing and playing, which makes his Pantheru dance very special.
And following that, we see the Sri Tusker Manike, who belongs to Mrs. Shriyani Gunawardana of Dangovita.
And in fact, this elephant is also known as Dangovita Atinna or Dangovita Manike as well.
And now we are seeing a mixed dance performance which shows the agricultural basis or the foundation we have in Sri Lanka. It depicts the importance the agriculture plays as a part of the livelihoods of Sri Lankans. And this team is today led by Ms. Takshila Siriwardana of the Takshila Arts Academy, Yati Halagala.
The male-dominated presence of artists that we saw previously is no longer visible as we see the entrance of female representation of the Perahera.
In fact, this is one of the unique dances where the males and females dance together. And this shows the part the males and females play in the day-to-day life of an agriculture society we have in Sri Lanka. The vibrancy in their costumes are reflected on their faces, adding beautiful smiles to the third Randoli Procession today.
And following the mixed folk dance performance, now we are seeing yet another manike. This female elephant manike belongs to Mr. H.R.S.U. Nishankar, who was the former mayor of Kagala.
And following that second manike, we are seeing the first troupe of his dancers at the Sri Mahapattini Devala procession. And this is indeed a signal or an announcement that the pinnacle of the Sri Mahapattini Devala procession is arriving.
And this West dance troupe is being trained and led by Mr. Mithun Bandara of Mithun Bandara Arts Academy, Watapulluwa.
We saw these West dances in around 9 segments of this Perahera today, yet the sight of the West dancer is never tiring to the eye. You can watch them dance all day.
Now we are at the most awaited moment of Sri Mahapatini Esala Perahera. The ceremonial elephant Mangala, who belongs to Mr. Udaragarapati of Giriulla, is carrying the requelaries of Goddess Patini today, and he's being accompanied by the female elephant Rani, who belongs to Mr. P.R. Gonakumura, as well as the female elephant Parami, who belongs to Mr. Samantha Vijayamana of Madagoda. Let us take a moment to witness and worship the godly ornaments of Goddess Patini.
As the requelaries of Goddess Patini take majestic strides across the streets of Kandy, we see the second, or rather the last troop of his dancers that we will see today at the third Randoli Procession. And they are escorting the Basnayaka Nilame, or rather the representation of the Basnayaka Nilame of the Sri Mahapatini Devala.
This troop of his dancers are being trained and led by Mr. Chandana K. Jayaratna of Chandana Arts Academy, Matali. West dancers are paving the way for the Basnayak Nilame who will be representing the Basnayak Nilame of Sri Mahapathini Devalaya Kandy. This is none other than Honorable Anura Sudanta Iriyagama, the Basnayak Nilame of Vegiriya Sri Mahanatha Devalaya, who will be representing the Sri Mahapathini Devalaya of Kandy as a Basnayak Nilame of an affiliated rural shrine.
And this Basnayak Nilame is also provided with a royal decree. They are provided with respect of a royal decree to remark or acknowledge the service they provide, the upliftment and the continuous existence of these traditions in the Sri Mahapathini Devalaya. We see guards lining the streets to provide protection for the Basnayak Nilame who is taking the streets of Kandy today.
And this would be the last sight of the Perahera today.
And now we are seeing the Randoli or the palanquins being carried in order of the Natha Devalaya, Vishnu Devalaya, Kataragama Devalaya and the Pathini Devalaya. These Randolis represent the way in which the ancient queens used to commute. And that marks the conclusion of the third Randoli Perahera.
And as it marks the end of the third Randoli Perahera, we hope that our country will be blessed with fertility and rains.
May our country prosper.
Dalada Samindu Pitai.